was having a conversation very early this morning for me about pressure and stress and time management. And it made me start to think to myself, right, about, it made me think, part of the conversation made me think about our belief systems, and it made me think about how you don't always know exactly how something's going to turn out and how it's going to be accomplished, but sometimes just by taking those incremental steps in a certain direction with a certain amount of intention, right? So, one thing everyone should understand about me is I feel like I'm a pretty unexceptional individual. Now, look, I can turn my ego on and the bravado and be like, I'm Bob, I'm the man, da-da-da, because I worked in sales rooms for years, right? And that's part of what you do, right? But the ego only serves us sometimes, and sometimes it really gets in the way. So I've really been focusing on operating without it. But my whole life has been one thing after another where I didn't know how the fuck I was going to accomplish this thing. And it was always outside the realm of possibilities. Some of the shit I talk about that I plan to do, I don't talk about with people because people's beliefs about what's possible, how you're going to accomplish this thing, their self-doubt gets in the way. It gets in the way for them. Dude, I can't. I'm not going to take on the self-doubt. If I think I'm going to do something that is outside the realm of possibility, I can't let somebody else's self-doubt, their fucking belief about what they can do, get in my way. So I just hold on to that stuff. That's actually been the hardest thing for me about goal setting and moving forward and doing things, is being able to operate outside the realm of possibility. All right, so let me give you, here's what started this first thing for me, right? I worked at this call center way back in the day. And this place was the fucking crucible, right? They just put your feet to the fire and it just went, right? But it made really strong people, all right? And the people that were the upper management at that place was all like in their late 20s, early 30s, right? All of them. And so here I am, like 21, and I'm seeing people that are literally making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, right? And what that did is it shaped my belief in what's possible. You know, those people who know my story know that I was poverty, growing up poverty, right? Government food, all this shit, right? So when I get this job and I'm like, what? You can make $500 in a week? For me, that was magic, right? At that time, magic. You can make $500 in a week? And I didn't even know how, right? There's somebody presented me with this roadmap and I was like, oh, just do what you're saying? Okay, I'll do that. And I didn't deviate. I did exactly what the fuck they told me over and over and over. And because I did that, then I got to do a next impossible thing that didn't make any sense to me, right? And that was when they sent me out of the country, right? It was my first time ever. I go, I travel. And I had no idea what I was going to do when I got there. I had no idea, right? It still seemed impossible to me, right? How am I going to get this done? I don't know. What? These people are going to be looking up to me. I don't know, right? And it worked out. It worked out because I just had the right intention and I took that step in that direction, right? And then, because I did so well with that over the course of a little over a week, they're like, hey, go start this other facility for me. So I did. Had no idea. I had no idea how I was going to accomplish it. None. And again, that company puts their people's feet to the fire. And I would start my day at 7:45, I think. I'm hard to remember what the time zone. I think it was 7:45 a.m. I would start my day. And then I would not usually end my day until 9:30. Did we stop calling at night? So some long days, right? And then half the time, I'm staying doing reports and stuff, trying to figure shit out, right? Did that for 3 months. I don't know how I did it. Now that I look back, I was like, holy shit, I worked 14 hours a day, 5 days a week. I worked on Saturday. Sunday, I just used to like recover, right? Now, I made some mistakes with that job. And they fired my ass, and they were right to do it. And I was like, well, now what am I going to do? Now what, like, and everything that I knew about what I was doing came from just this one thing, right? And so I was like, okay, so I went over to this other telemarketing place, not having any idea what I was doing and still full of some ideas, some beliefs from this thing over here, right? And so it took me a long time to figure that out. And this is a place where people were all making a lot of money. Like, when you pull into the parking lot, it's the craziest thing. Like, it's this little strip mall behind a Taco Bell. It's an unassuming place. However, when you pull in, it's like Jag, Ferrari, Viper, Hummer. Hummers were the hot shit at the time, right? All expensive cars, right? Because people are making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a week, right? Just savage heathens, like not college educated people, nothing. Just people that learned how to like be good at talking, right? And so when they're explaining to me how much people make a week, my brain would not register it because, again, it was outside my belief system. I didn't know. But this thing started to steer me again. It started to steer me again to understand what's possible in life, right? Because if you go tell the average person, hey, there's this job, you're going to make $3,000, like, they're just like, it's nonsense. It's probably a scam. It's probably this, that, or the other, right? Because their belief is created with all these other things from their past, right? And then I took that and I went and I became, let's call it, street entrepreneur. I was a street entrepreneur for a while. And then also I had developed a reputation around the different companies, and I started to be able to go from company to company as I saw fit. And then I would, not only as a sales rep, but then I would start to get recruited into like leadership positions at these different companies. So I could literally go to a company that was struggling and they'd be like, hey, handle this for us, right? Now this is all in my mid-20s. I didn't even every time I'm like, these fucking idiots think I can fix this shit. But obviously I was fixing the shit. But my belief system wasn't allowing me to accept, right, my power and what I was doing, right? So your belief system will really, really, really get in your way if you don't at least have some belief that things will work out the way you want to. Because that's the thing that keeps us going when the fucking chaos is all around us and the pressure is coming down and you're wondering if you can actually make the thing work the way you want it to work, all right? And so then my mom got in the accident. I gave everything up. I just gave up, right? For a couple of years. I hadn't done anything. And my relationships within the industry started to fizzle out. The industry is changing around me. So how am I going to stay on top of that, right? And the person who was my business partner in my street entrepreneurship, who was also my business partner on some other things we were doing, who had worked at some of those sales floors with me. We're out driving around, and I was poor. I lost everything. I had nothing. I mean, I had less than nothing because of all the damage that I did to my own mind. That I was having panic attacks and all the weird shit at the time, right? And so we're driving down the road, and Bo's telling me something, some good thing that's happening in his life. You know, he's starting to build a company, if I remember. And I go, Bo, that's gone for me now. That way that I used to live, the things that I had, this is gone for me now. this is just how life is, and this is how it's always going to be, right? And Bo being Bo is just like, okay. And it wasn't until years later, in fact, we had this conversation the other day, where he goes, you just gave up. And my heart just sank, because like, you believed in yourself, you believed in big shit. Look at all this big shit that we fucking accomplished just by thinking that you could do it, and then taking these little incremental steps towards it until you're all the way there, right? And so, doing the weight loss journey thing, look, it was just a little step in the right direction for me, really. And this time when I took it on, I still had trouble believing it, right? And then through this, I ended up with this job that I have now. And then I started having some things happen to me where I started to create some very, very big goals. Some goals that most Americans, even though they have the means to try, they don't try. They don't even try. And when I first started, just like every other thing that I've done in life, my mouth started writing checks that I could not cash. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll fucking do that. Watch me. Watch what happens. And of course, every big thing that I've ever done started out me being half full of shit, right? But then I go, it'll work out. It'll work out. It'll work out. Because I started to have enough data. Now I'm starting to understand the words for this. I started to have enough data that says, hey, you didn't know how you were going to do this. You were worried. You thought that this thing would get in the way, and you didn't know quite how you were going to work it out. But then you just started taking steps in that direction, and it just worked out, right? Jordan Peterson calls it aiming at something, right? But what happens is we start looking at all of what we have right now, what we know about life based on this current now, right? And then we get overwhelmed and we're like, this is fucking impossible. I can't do it. Oh, I'm worried, right? All that shit, none of it's real, right? The entire future is not fucking mapped out anyway. None of it's real, right? So if you have fear about the future, guess what? That's a fucking lie anyway. That's a made up fucking future anyway, a fear, right? So what is our alternative? If we know the future's made up anyway, can't we just take control of it and be like, why don't I just make it up myself the way I want it to be, and then start moving in that direction, right? And so, like every other fucking big thing I ever did, I go, okay, let's go. Let's move in this direction. I have no idea. All right? So, 9 months ago, a year ago, whatever. Look, I've got a small team that I'm working with here at this company now. I didn't think I'd ever manage people again. I thought it was gone from my life. Thought it was gone, right? But I set an intention towards it, and then just continue to take little incremental step towards it over and over and over. The big shit you're going to do in your life, whatever the fuck it's going to be, you won't always have a roadmap. You won't always know how it's going to play out. All you can do is think to yourself that this is possible no matter what the fuck anybody else says, right? And then take your little steps towards it. Little steps along the way, right? The pressure, the fear, all that shit's always going to fucking be there anyway. Why not be navigating through it with a direction and a purpose and a way that you want to go, regardless of whatever the fuck anybody else thinks is possible for you?